Hey, what's up, everybody? Coach Matt over here, Primal Athlete Training Center, www.primalatc.com. Coming to you today with another segment for our In a Perfect World video series created for beginner and intermediate coaches, people that just have a couple of years experience under their belt. And today's a good one. This is probably, I would say, one of the top 3 questions that I get asked from beginner and intermediate, people, coaches that are just starting out. And it's, Coach Matt, what do we do the day before a meet? Well, here's what you need to do. You need to go to your meet schedule, and you have to take a look at your meet schedule. And what you're going to find out, what you're going to see, is that your meets are basically divided up into 3 different hierarchies, 3 different categories. The first part of your meets are dual meets, tri-meets. Tiny little crappy meets that really don't count for much. Let's be honest. I mean, we said it plenty of times before. They're crappy little meets that don't really count for anything. Basically, it's just practice against other teams. That's all a dual meet really is. Usually they don't qualify for any state championships. You can't qualify at a dual meet. It's just an extended practice against other teams. That's all it really is. Then the second kind of part of your meet schedule, that's going to be your bigger invites, maybe your regional track meets and things like that. Not dual meets. They do count for something. They might be state qualifying track meets. They might be meets where you need to kind of perform at a higher level to get invited to other bigger meets throughout the season. And then the third part of your meet schedule is going to be your championship meets. These are going to be your state championships, your regional championships, division championships, class championships, conference championships, whatever they call it in your state. That's what happens at the end of your season. So here's the answer for you. In a perfect world, how would I set up my training? How would I set up my coaching the day before a meet? Well, the day before those little crappy dual meets that don't count for anything, I would have just a normally scheduled day of practice. Now, you might find out that you're in the weight room that day. So what? Who cares? Go in the weight room. Remember, we're not trying to peak for that little dual meet. We're trying to peak for the end of the year. Don't lose track of the end of the year just because you've got a crappy little dual meet against the school next door. Okay, who cares about that? If you're scheduled to be out in the field, out to be in the circles for 2.5 hours the day before a track meet, treat it like any other day of practice. In the weight room the day before a dual meet, treat it like any other day of practice. Who cares? It's a dual meet. It's just another day of practice. Now, when we start to get in front of our bigger invitationals and our state qualifying track meets that are in the middle portion of our meet schedule, this is where we need to sort of back off a little bit, and we need to try to schedule our weeks so that we're not lifting the day before these meets. We're not lifting the day before these invites and these state qualifiers. What you want to do, you want to try to schedule that day to be a day where your athletes are just out at practice, not in the weight room. And when they're out at practice, each one of your athletes is going to get 1 or 2 specific things that they need to work on, and this is going to be based on what you've seen throughout previous days of practice. So Johnny over there, Johnny's having some issues fouling, and you give Johnny a drill to work on to help him stop fouling. That's what he's going to do that day before the track meet. Then Johnny goes over to javelin, let's say, and he's having a big issue with rhythm as he does his approach run in javelin. So you give him something to work on rhythm. And he does that the entire day. Okay? So we're not really beating the crap out of our athletes the day before that meet. We're not getting in, 100 throws the day before that meet. We're working on some specific things that they can carry over into that bigger invite, that state championship qualifying meet that's in the middle of your season. Now, toward the end of the season, we're going to take this one step further. Before a championship meet, what I like to do is, number one, you're not going to be in the weight room. Most of these meets are on Saturdays or on Fridays, so you're going to be in the weight room Monday, Wednesday. Okay, you're going to give yourself 2 days before that meet even happens. From there, we're going to go about 50% of what we would normally do during an average day of practice. So say an average day of practice, your athletes are at shot put for an hour and discus for an hour. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to stay about a half an hour at shot, half an hour at discus. We're going to treat it like a meet condition, okay? And what we mean by that is you're going to have your athletes go through typical warm-ups like they would at a track meet, and then they're going to take about 6 pretty decently heavy or hard throws. So they're going to go about, maybe 85% power, 90% power, nothing crazy. They're not going to be trying to hit PRs at practice, but they're going to be getting their body sort of in the swing of things. They're going to be getting their body ready to compete the next day. And as you keep qualifying for other meets afterwards, so here we have our class championship meet, then we have our last chance qualifier, then the week after that we have our state championship, and the week after that we have our New England championship. So we tend to start to taper down and take less and less throws as we get into the bigger championship meets so our bodies can fully kind of recuperate and make sure that we're ready to peak, make sure we have the energy, make sure we've got that fire burning in our bellies to get out there and throw some big PRs at the big meets, the championship meets, when it counts. So that's what you should do. In a perfect world, that's what you should do before your championship meets, before your kind of mid-level meets, and before your dual meets. So hopefully this clears up a lot of the questions that we get from those beginner and intermediate coaches. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Maybe they'll be answered in this In a Perfect World series. And yeah, that's about it from here, guys. Hope you have a great weekend. Hope your meets are going well, and I'll talk to you soon.